give me 1 minute. I'll just give me 1 minute. Let me switch on my my heater because it's getting cold over here. I'm in the UK. Just give me 1 moment. Yeah, really sorry. I think I'm based out of the UK right now, so so it was becoming slightly cold, so I had to switch on my heater. So, but giving a quick introduction about myself, I've done my BTech in computer science from IIIT Hyderabad 2006 to 10, and my career mostly has been in tech companies. I started off my career as a software engineer with Amazon. Had joined Amazon at a time when its stock price was 1/40th of where it is right now. So in hindsight, that was a big loss. Then went on to do my MBA from IIM Bangalore. That's a standard 2-year MBA program that everyone kind of goes through after you give CAT. And since I think my career mostly has been in product. I started with Microsoft as a product manager. I was working with Bing Ads, helping them kind of with their international ads products. Then I was working with Goldman. Over at Goldman, I was essentially looking at internal products. And I was basically, these were like fraud risk management products, which we were building for, internal folks and internal strats, which are there. And in 2018 to 19, I also did my own startup. I think which was a spectacular failure. I think out of the 100 things we did, 98 things were perhaps wrong. The 2 things that we did probably right was, one, I think we were featured as one of the top 30 tech startups of India by Your Story. And second, we were part of Lightspeed India, I think, which is a VC firm, and there we interacted with a lot of different founders, like who've kind of made their billion-dollar companies, like founder of Rubrik, then Kunal Bell from Snapdeal, a lot of these folks. So that was a good learning phase. It gave us a lot of sense of relatability, in seeing some of these founders. Like most of these are folks like you and I, like they're not very different, like, but they end up like creating something which is far larger. So since then, I think I closed my startup in 2019. 2019, I met Ramki through a common friend. And that time, Zeta was kind of not a startup per se. Like we were a 400 like people firm that time. I think since then we have now grown to about 1,600 folks. So we have almost like tripled, like 4x to be precise. So yeah, it's been incredible. I've been working with him for almost like the last 2.5 years. And yeah, that's just a quick intro about me. And what I'm going to do is now just talk about PM 101. What exactly is a product manager, and what does a product manager even mean, or what does a product even mean? If you think of product, like products are something which you use every day in your day-to-day life. Like they can be a toothbrush. They can be, like, for example, they can be like obviously, like people know about these electronic products. Like everyone has probably seen an iPhone, used an iPhone. I don't know like how old you guys are. Probably you would have never like held this up in your life, but this is something that we millennials used to be very, kind of gung-ho about it. Like when this had actually kind of released in the market. This was an iPod. This was like previously, like before, Steve Jobs actually released the iPhone. Then there are apparels as well. I mean, if you look at shoes, for example, the shoes that are designed by Nike, the shoes that are designed by, let's say, Skechers or any other brand, or a running brand, for example, like, then there are accessories, your backpacks. There are media items, for example, movies. There are household commodities, like, for example, your Tide, your chips. Every single thing that is there on the screen right now is actually a product. And when this product actually is used by a customer, someone actually thinks about, what are some of the things that we should be doing that will attract the customer. I mean, that will make the customer come back to the product again and rebuy that product. So, like if you look at beyond what I spoke to you about, in that product commonalities thing as well. If you go to any standard, let's say, product management book, what you'll find is there is this trifecta. Like everyone says that good products are products which are usable, like which are easy to use. Like a customer doesn't have to, think through a lot when they are trying to figure out how to use this product. It is almost, as simple as, for example, how do I put it? Maybe sitting in a car and just going to a destination. You open the door, you just sit down. It comes very naturally. So a good product is something which is very usable. It is obviously valuable because it is solving a pain point for a customer. That pain point could be anything. That pain point could be, let's say, connecting you socially to your friends because you're so socially deprived. That pain point could be, let's say, for example, allowing you to book flights because let's say you cannot go to I don't know, like how many people have booked train tickets like before IRCTC actually had come out. Like there used to be these long queues, at every station where you had to go and pay for your ticket, and then the ticket issuer used to give those tickets to you. So obviously there has to be some pain point that you're solving. In that sense, the product has to be valuable. And feasible is the third aspect. Feasible is that the product, whatever product you're trying to make, it's actually feasible to make that product within the given time constraints, within the given money constraints that you have, within the given timing also that you have. So for example, every product, like if you think about it, has a timing in the market. Like there is a saying in the startup world as well. There are no bad products that are there. There are only bad timings. So for example, there was this spectacular company which was like before the iPhone got launched in 2007. I think they were making a smartphone back in 1990s, but the technology, the situation, the scenario, the feasibility was not such that you could actually start making those in bulk. You could start prioritizing those in bulk. The people would start empathizing with those things, and as a result, that company actually did nothing. They actually failed. So feasibility is another key aspect. So what is a good product and what is common to them? The product is a usable product, it is a valuable product, and it is a feasible product. While I think about all of this, there is another thing that kind of comes up in my mind as well, and that is something that is being kind of imbibed through my own years of product management which I have spent in the industry. The best products are actually products which are also replicable. What does replicable mean? So replicable is something that can allow you to make money while you sleep. By that, what I mean is, if you think about like Facebook as a product, Facebook doesn't design different products for different people and different personas. For example, the product that we give out to, let's say, the Instagram, let's take example of Instagram, which is given out to a college guy, is exactly same or similar in experience to the Instagram that is used by corporate guys. If you think over it, like if you go to other levels of segmentation, like folks in tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, everyone uses Instagram in a similar manner. The reason is that the product is very, very standardized. But having said that, it still is customized to the end user's perspective. So for example, if there is a guy like me who probably buys an iPhone, who's probably, let's say, slightly more technology first, who's let's say looking at growing in his career, for them, what they will do is they will probably, or let's say who likes, let's say, animal videos, the Instagram feed is going to showcase a lot of puppy videos. They will showcase a lot of, let's say, Udemy courses or upskilling courses where I could probably go and learn something and upskill myself, vis-a-vis someone who is, let's say, coming from a different background. For example, someone who's coming from, let's say Bollywood. Like for them, like the feed probably will just have, let's say, folks from the Bollywood industry, like models, etc. So the key point is, if you have to make something replicable, and if you have to make something, some kind of product where you actually make money while you are sleeping on your bed, your upfront quality matters a lot. Like you have to really think through that, what that product will be, for which customer will that product be, what is the pain point that the product is going to solve, what is the value proposition that the product brings to the table vis-a-vis, let's say, the other products that you have in the market. And someone is actually, thinking through that product and thinking through what are those things that you should introduce, which will allow you to enhance or magnify or amplify that quality by 10x. And that is why these guys are product managers. And that is why these product managers, tend to produce a 10x differentiation in the market as well. Like a great product manager will actually make up, like, which will actually, make a 10x better product than, let's say, an average product manager in the market. And that's why great product managers are very, very hard to find if you look at in the industry. So this is another example. Like I was just trying to look at, like, for example, what are the different kind of products that, that went on to be called great products. Like, for example, if you look at left, like this is a screenshot from Orkut. I don't know how many of you guys have used Orkut. It used to be, pretty popular back in when we were like kind of giving our IIT JEEs and AIEEEs. I think it used to be pretty popular because a lot of people in Brazil and India were essentially using Orkut for social networking. And then Facebook probably, I think, entered India in about 2006. And if you look at these two products, side by side, what you realize is Orkut had a lot of, let's say, for example, things that they were not really solving for in a very well-oiled manner. For example, in Orkut, there was never a single news feed. You always had to go to a friend and post to a friend's scrapbook. It was called scrapbook that time. And if you look at, for example, this post, so Umesh, been to go yet? I know you were in some parties now. Like all of these, none of these conversations are actually private. If you see messages, I mean, there is no way I can message Umesh over here. Vis-a-vis a Facebook, like a lot of this, if you think about it, what it is subtly doing in your head is, it is introducing decision points in your head. That, let's say, when you land into your Orkut homepage, you have to decide which are the top 3 friends or top 4 friends whom I'm going to text, or whom I have to, go and check the photos out of, for example. Vis-a-vis Facebook, where, everything was summarized in a single news feed. What Facebook was essentially doing was eliminating the decision fatigue that you have. There is a technical term called decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is essentially, the energy that gets wasted when you are trying to decide what to do, what not to do. The best product managers think through where a customer is going to have, or where a user is going to have decision fatigue, and eliminate those points essentially. If you look at the other great products, again I'm taking example from my generation. I guess I'm older at least by 10-12 years to you guys. Some of the other great products that I kind of get reminded of is, there used to be this Nokia phone, which used to be very, very popular. And the only 2 or 3 things that you could do on this Nokia phone was, one, obviously you could see multimedia photos, you could see multimedia videos on it, you could send these photos to friends, and it used to have a very high virality, because the moment someone used to take out these Nokia phones and go into, let's say, a playground or something, everyone used to ask, what is this phone? What is it that you're carrying? Or does it have this functionality? And when you used to show them that, you can browse internet on this, everyone used to get wowed. Post these Nokia phones, there came BlackBerry phones. BlackBerry were kind of, one level enhancement to it. In terms of having a QWERTY keyboard, in terms of having a richer UI. But BlackBerry was targeted to a very niche audience. I mean, BlackBerry used to be a very big Canadian company. Obviously now they are bust. But their audience was essentially like office going folks, like people, who were very concerned about security or data protection or privacy, for example. And then there was iPhone. And if you look at the innovation jump that has happened from these phones to the iPhone, you will almost realize that this is a 10x jump. If you go back to this generation, what you realize is most people used to spend about, at the max, 20, 30, at best 60 minutes on their phone. If you look at the average time that is spent on phones or smartphones these days, it is upwards of 4 hours in India. So obviously, like, the product is so good that people have started using it as a replacement to their laptops. Like a lot of things that people used to go to the laptops for example, gaming, for example, ordering, e-commerce ordering, or whatever. All of that happens through the iPhone. So in one way or another, this was one of the most iconic, 10x products that were actually produced, in the market. And that is why I also regard like Steve Jobs as one of the, foremost, proponents of product management. And when I was thinking about this, I thought, it makes sense to kind of, go through this video as well. Look at how Steve Jobs kind of presents, his thought about what are the, when he was launching iPhone, like in the market. It's probably a 2-minute video. I'll just start presenting. Let me know if you guys don't hear it.
Well, Today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary mobile phone. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. So, 3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is. No. Actually, here it is, but we're going to leave it there for now.
So if you look carefully, Steve Jobs doesn't reveal the phone over there. And by the way, this is one of the baddest way in which he could have designed an iPhone. iPhone went through at least 3 years of iteration before it kind of got launched in the market. Now, if you look at the ecosystem, like if you look at the history of internet, what you'll realize is iPhone was a transcendental innovation. I mean, it literally opened up an industry where companies like Uber got built up, companies like Coinbase got built up. Because what are these at the end of the day? These are apps which are built up on top of a platform. It was a huge innovation. It was like a 10x innovation. Companies like WhatsApp, for example, like people would have never even thought that, a company like a WhatsApp is going to dominate the chat industry. Rather than a company like an MSN Messenger. MSN Messenger used to be so big, pre-WhatsApp area, but iPhone kind of changed the paradigm, like literally, like it was an inflection point. That's why I wanted to call it inflection. The slide, it was an inflection point, in the way products started they started like being imagined, and people started building for that platform as well. And the other reason I was showing this product was, and again, this is one of the core parts of what we do as product managers as well. You look at the way how Steve Jobs presented this whole product as well. I mean, I still like and love this. I mean, whenever I kind of interact with folks, I tell them that, this is how you should do your presentation. The slide never had more than, let's say, 10 words on their slides. Plus, it was storytelling at its best. Sorry, I think someone was probably partying and I heard them on the call, but no worries. But yeah, so this is one video which, like, I kind of refer when I tell people about what are good products. There is this other video which kind of this is Brian Chesky. Brian Chesky is the founder of Airbnb, and he talks about what is it. I basically talked about the 10x product thinking, like how do you create 10x better products. Here, actually, if you look at like this talk, it's a 5-minute talk. We'll just quickly go through it. Brian Chesky talks about what is it to create 10x better products in the market.
Your friends, and eventually it would grow.
Okay, so let's, I think that's the...
By the way, this guy is Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn, and he was part of the initial PayPal mafia as well. I'll talk about it maybe if anyone is curious in the Q&A session.
Great warm-up story.
Yeah.
Now getting the scale.
Oh my God, I'm just warming up. Holy shit.
That's exactly.
What's next?
It's not audible, I think.
Yeah, Mohit, I think you might have to unmute yourself for the audio.
Sorry, someone was saying something?
Yeah, it was not audible. I think you'll have to unmute yourself for the audio part.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Give me one moment. Can you guys hear it now? Or you can't see it? 1 second.
Your friends, and eventually it would grow.
Okay, so let's, I think that's the great warm-up story.
Yeah.
Now getting the
Oh
scale.
my God, I'm just warming up. Holy shit.
Yes, exactly.
What's next?
Oh, it's the canonical ideal one. So let's first start with a couple of things that you guys do very uniquely from all the other consumer internet. So, for example, because you and Joe are designers, you have a attention design that's much more intense.
Even my socks, if you notice.
Yes, exactly. But you have this concept of 7-star design.
Yep. So so the concept goes as follows. On the internet, especially most marketplace businesses, the kind of paradigm is 5 stars, right? So a YouTube video, Airbnb or Uber or whatever, it's 5 stars. And the problem with 5 stars is 5 stars, like the only reason you would leave less than 5 stars is because it was horrible. So like if you rate like an Uber ride like 4 stars, like your life might have been in danger, right? And so like in other words, the bar to do 5 stars is really low. On Airbnb, the bar is like people actually do leave 4 and 3-star reviews, but our goal wasn't to get to a 5-star because a 5-star might have been nice enough for other people to book it. But we wanted to build a product where you loved it so much you would tell everyone about it. It would have a meaningful impact on your life. And we believe that travel has the impact to transform your life. Like I've taken trips and I've met people where it has an impact on your life. And we wanted to have that. And so we thought, what if you booked an Airbnb and we sold you a product and you didn't leave 5 stars, but you emailed the company asking for a 6-star because the product was so good, you had to almost go above and beyond. And so we imagined, when we design products, we imagined, okay, this is what customers expect. They expect to have a 5-star experience. And then we basically asked the intellectual question. So let's take airport pickup, for example. What's a 5-star like check-in experience on Airbnb? The 5-star check-in experience is they give you the address, you get to the house, you knock on the door, and they're there. And they're open the door and they let you in the house. And that's 5-star. And anything worse than that, you start to leave like 4 stars as you call them. They're like 5 minutes away. You'll probably leave a 4-star. And like 1 star is obviously like they never showed up. So the bar is kind of low. Like you knock on the door and they open the door. That's a really low bar. So we asked, well, what's a 6-star? Well, a 6-star is they probably pick you up at the airport. So you don't knock on their door. They actually pick you up at the airport. So what's a 7-star review? You can actually play. It's kind of fun. Well, 7 stars, they don't pick at the airport. They send a limousine and you open the limousine door and they know that you like, I don't know, Pringles. That was a weird example. This is like improv. So we're rolling with it. So there's Pringles there and there's like coconut water and they know you are into surfing. There's some surfing magazine, even if you're in San Francisco, you're not going to surf. That's fine. And so that's a 7-star. So what's an 8-star pickup? Well, an 8-star check-in is, there's a, like, you get to the airport and they're like, we're coming. And you're like, where are you? And all of a sudden you see like a giant elephant. And an elephant is walking by the gate, the terminal. And there's a parade in your honor. You get on top of the elephant and you are paraded away. And you said, well, what's a 9-star check-in? If that's an 8-star check-in, how do we get to 9 stars? A 9-star check-in is you get off the plane and the moment you step off the plane, there are 5,000 screaming 13-year-old women and boys, and they're holding signs. I call it the Beatles check-in. It's the Beatles in 1964 coming to America, and they're just cheering for you, screaming for you. And they follow you and they do a press conference in the front yard of your Airbnb. And so then what's a 10-star check-in? Well, I can go to 30, but I won't, because it'll be a long day. And the 10-star is you get to the airport and there's a little card and it's got your name on it. And you're like, great, there's my ride. But you realize the person dressed in the limo suit is Elon Musk and he just takes you to space. And so I've exaggerated to make a point. Usually we don't go all the way to 10.
I'll just pause here. If you see, this is what a 10-star check-in actually looks like. There is a guy who's standing at the airport holding your name on their placard. And that guy is actually Elon Musk, who's ready to take you to the space. And that's what you need to think about, when you're actually thinking about products. Like, are you really building that 10x product? Like, what is the experience that you're trying to provide to the customer, which will actually, give them the dopamine hit that, oh wow, this is something I had never imagined before, or this is something that is so new that I would definitely want to try it. With that said, like,
and eventually it would grow.
With that said, let me come to the core like part of the session, which I was thinking I'll probably give you guys a quick intro into. What is a product manager? What does a product manager do? What do I do, on a day-to-day basis? Like, do I go to the office? Do I show people videos of Brian Chesky or Reid Hoffman or Steve Jobs, or what is it that I do? Is a product manager someone, who kind of writes documentation, who does user research, who does user stories, who looks at metrics, draws wireframes, how should the product look like? Do we think of timelines? Do we think of roadmaps? Do we write like PRDs are product requirement documents? Apologies for the abbreviation here. But do we write specs or PRDs? Like our product manager, these guys, if you go to another school of thought, what other blog articles, online will actually mention is product manager is someone who sits in the middle of a user design, a UX, a tech, and a business. Product manager is someone who kind of sits right in the middle. They have a business sense because they know that, what kind of products will work in the market vis-a-vis other competitors. They have a design sense because they know how to design the iPhone. They know that the iPhone cannot be a number dialing screen on top of the iPod scroll. They also know the tech because they know that what is feasible, what can be built up, what cannot be built up. You can't launch an iPhone in the 1990s. Only in the 2007 or 2005-6 is the time frame when you can actually think of, launching an iPhone. Is product manager someone who sits in the middle of all these three? Or there is another definition that is very popular in the market, is that product manager is someone who is the voice of the customer. They think about the customer. They think about, what are the pain points of the customer. There is another line of thought which says that the product manager is actually the CEO of the product. Like they think about how the Facebook newsfeed should be designed. They think about, how TikTok should probably look at, in terms of launching a short video product. Some people say, product manager is the keeper of the vision. Where there is a vision that the company is chasing. There's a vision that the founder wants. There is a vision that, that you're going to attack in the next 10 years. And product manager is one way or another keeper of that vision. If you look at most of these definitions, these are actually descriptive, but not prescriptive. Like if you think of, like, I don't know if you've heard of this story, like there was this huge elephant, and there were 5 blind men, they had never seen an elephant in their life. And when they started, like, when this elephant came to their city, these 5 blind men, kind of tried to surround the elephant. They tried to, one guy went on the side. He started like feeling, what is it like? How does the elephant feel like? He thought it was a big, like a bulldozer kind of an animal, like someone like a bull or something. So this guy says this is a bull. There is the second blind man who kind of, goes and tries to feel the feet of that animal. He says that, the animal has it looks like a 4-legged animal, like someone, who can attack and hunt for prey, because and who can run for long because the legs are sturdy. There's a third person who goes here and, like, tries to get a feeler of the tusk. And this guy says that, this is not a 4-legged animal. This is in fact a snake which is harmless because it is not like biting me immediately, and it is not poisonous. But anyways, the point is, if you look at the animal from the perspective of these 5 people, you will get 5 different perspectives. Someone who touches the tusk, they will say a different story vis-a-vis someone who touches the feet, vis-a-vis someone who touches, a tail. So these are all descriptive ways in which, a product manager is described. Like all of these 3 definitions, if you see till now, what is a product manager? These are all jobs like which a product manager does. This is kind of partly right, but again, not completely right. Someone like a product manager typically has a good command over all of these 3 usually. Similarly, like about this as well, these are all like descriptive. They are not prescriptive descriptions of a product manager. So what exactly is a product manager? Product manager is a slightly, like, I don't like the term product manager particularly. I think a better term probably could be product strategist, because these guys are, someone who decide how to strategize about the product. How does a product look like? How does a product feel like? Where would you position that product in the market? What kind of use cases would you solve from that product? Maybe product strategist is a better word. Again, this is not the best word that I can come up with, but it is at least slightly better than product manager. Manager seems a very 1800s kind of a term where, where there used to be assembly lines and, production of vehicles and Ford and everything used to happen in an assembly line kind of a methodology. But anyways, one thing which I kind of see product managers doing is, and again, I kind of thought that this is a very relevant quote over here. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Like there is this ship. If you don't really know where do you have to sail to, whether you have to go to India or whether you have to America, no matter what wind you try to, take for your advantage with this whole sail, you would always end up going to the wrong place. So product manager is someone who gives direction to a product. Product manager is the guy who actually, decides that which wind should be tapped so as to, make sure that you are landing up at the right port and creating the right kind of value. And if you look at what are the different things that a product manager does, and typically, I mean, this is something that like Bhavin also advises, whenever you are doing a startup, you typically think of your startup in these 7 Ps. Like, what is the persona that you're going after? Who are you solving the problem for? What is the problem that you're solving for that persona? Then in order to solve that problem, how are you solving that problem? What is your exact product that you're coming up with in the market for? Next to the product, there is proposition. Like vis-a-vis, let's say, the product you are building, where does that proposition position you in the whole competitive landscape? Like, let's say if you're launching a social networking app, like where does it position you in the whole landscape of social networking apps that are there? Then promotion, like how do you actually promote this or market this app in the market as well? Like, will the user be able to empathize with whatever value add that you're adding to their life? Profits essentially like how do you generate business out of it? How would you effectively make money out of this product? And preservation, like preservation is long-term mode. Like how is your product not easily copyable? Like how do you build a moat around your product? Now, if you look at like these 7 Ps, whenever you are, kind of thinking about what to build, a product manager typically focus on these 4 Ps. Like what is the persona that you are going after? What is the problem that you're solving for that persona? How are you solving that problem? And how are you positioning that product within the whole gamut of all products in the market? And it is also very important to also, decide what not to strategize as well. Like while you decide that these personas are important, these are the personas for which you would want to solve the problem, it is very important to call out that these personas are someone who you would not be attacking. Or for example, let's say if you are deciding to solve top of the funnel problems, like, for a customer, you have to decide that top of the funnel or the discovery phase is where you would actually be, rather than, looking at solving the whole set of problems. So it is very important to, understand and constantly scrutinize and come back to your team and say, ki bilkul bakwas hai ye yaar, ab band kar do ise. You don't need to solve for this problem. Like this is also something that a product manager often does. Like when they decide that, this feature is something that is not going to be part of the long-term vision of the product or the long-term vision of the company. In terms of, what are the different types of product managers which are there in the market? I know I haven't given you a complete definition. From whatever I've told till now, there may be some kind of a soft boundary where you might start saying, is this guy a product manager? Is this guy an entrepreneur? But product manager is that kind of a, spurious role, because you define how your product looks like. You define what pain points are you solving. This, I think, is the more complete definition, because this is where your domain kind of lies. These 4 are what you actually intend to solve, when you are working as a product manager in the industry. But in terms of types of product management, what you realize is because this industry is kind of really evolving at a very fast pace, and technology itself as an industry is evolving at a very fast pace, what you realize is typically people tend to break product management into different silos. Like someone will start saying that there are platform product managers. Platform products are products, which are actually built as a platform layer within the company. Their customers can be internal, customers can be external, but the product has to be thought of as a platform which is used by multiple other personas. And In such cases, you will have a large number of personas which are using your product. But how do you define your platform? There's something which is kind of emerging right now in the market, because a lot of companies are building for developers as personas. Like if you look at Stripe, you look at AWS, a lot of these companies are actually building for developers, targeting developers as a persona and building their platform products. There is the most like B2C product management. This is the most like glamorized product management, if I were to call it like that. Like this is the 10-star review which Brian Chesky was talking about. Like, how do you think about your B2C products? Like, how do you design those 10x experiences? What are the pain points that you're solving for? And there are so many interesting things that you can do over here. Like if you look at Google Maps as a product, if you look at like Instagram as a product, every single feature, every single thing that is designed in those products is designed from a particular motivation, is designed from a particular angle. They are trying to solve some or the other pain point for the end customer. So again, this has a lot of literature, online. If you go to blogs, you'll find a lot of these literatures about. Then there is this B2B product management. And again, this differs, on the size of the company that you are solving the problem for. So for example, the company could be, Flea, in which case the company is very, very small. The company could be a Mice, in which case, there is a very interesting VC article. Remind me, Yash probably, or someone from the alumni team can actually remind me. I can send out that article to you guys. It basically talks about when you're targeting fleas, which can actually give you, let's say, some $10, $20 of revenue per annum. Like the kind of product management you do is very different from when you target whales. Whales are people who give you upwards of $1 or $10 million in revenue in ARR. Over in this case, the product management has to be more prescriptive. Like you have to kind of, look at how many types of customers are you dealing with, how many types of problems are you solving. So a lot of different flavors are there in B2B product management as well. This is one way to define or segment how product managers can actually look at. The other way could be to segment it by industries. So for example, social, for example, apps like TikTok, or for example, let's say Instagram. How do these product managers look at things? Like what kind of features do they design? Vis-a-vis, let's say, an e-commerce product manager. You will find that they look at the buying funnel, how the shopping cart is evolving, at what stage the drop-offs are happening, all of these things. Vis-a-vis, let's say, a FinTech product manager. Product manager looks at a very specific chain, which is payments as an industry, payments or banking as an industry. Now, within that, there are hundreds of problems that you can solve. So similarly, there is edtech, there is gaming. Like this is another way you could segment the product management as a profession. The third way of segmenting product managers is like if you look at the whole funnel about product, like every product goes through this AAA, ERRR funnel, which is you become aware of the product, you start acquiring the users for that product. At some point in time, those users get activated. When they start realizing that this product adds value, they start getting engaged. When they start coming back, to your product and trying to extract that value out of it, then they start getting retained. Like some of these users will drop off. Like most of these users, like if you know about B2C apps, you will realize that there is something which is very standard: day 7, day 30 retention. Example. So a lot of people are never retained till day 7 or day 30. Like they will download your app, they will use it for one time, and they will just immediately delete it, like within like 2 or 3 days. So retention, then translating this retention into revenue. For example, how do you make sure that your retained customers are paying you and you are actually generating business value out of it? And the last portion is referral. Like out of some of these like customers, are people referring those additional customers so that the whole pie that you are actually attacking with your product, that pie actually increases. So this is another way of segmenting. Okay, so it's 3 only. 3 out of 3. So that's another way of segmenting. Like that's how the industry kind of looks at product managers who are platform versus B2C versus B2B, versus product managers who are designed for certain industries, versus product managers who are looking at different stages of the funnel, awareness, activation, or whatever is that. So with that said, I'll also come to prioritization. Like if you think what we have done till now, we've actually talked about what does a product manager do. They think about the personas that are there. They think about what problems do you have to solve for him. And then they think about what product should they actually build to solve these problems for. While building that product, obviously it is important to prioritize certain things. You cannot build everything at one go. And that is where, a lot of trade-offs also have to be made through. Like, for example, which features should you build first? Like, let's say if you're launching Instagram today, like, would you launch a feed first? Would you launch a social friends feature first? Would you launch connect feature first? How do you decide which all features are part of your MVP, which is your minimum viable product definition, vis-a-vis what features are part of, let's say, your long-term vision? So prioritization is another something which is very, very important. And that's where a lot of experience also comes into play as well. Because a lot of product managers you see in the industry, they've gone through a lot of cycles. They understand, they've analyzed a lot of products. They've seen some products succeed, some products, a lot of the other products fail. So they can think through very candidly and very rationally as to which products are going to have the highest amount of impact and which products are going to take your lowest effort. This typically should be your priority one, like anything which is high impact or low effort. There are other quadrants in this as well. I won't talk about it right now because this is again something which is slightly more involved or advanced. The other way to think about like prioritization is there are some features which should always be there. So if you look at this graph, what does this graph explain is, this is, by the way, this is called Carnos Model. And what it explains is that there are some baseline expectations which a customer has from a product. Now, if you provide more of these baseline expectations, if you fulfill more of these baseline expectations, your customer satisfaction starts decreasing until a point, like it's an asymptotic curve which kind of goes to zero. So the customer doesn't really get a lot of kick out of it, like if you think about it. So these are some things that your products should definitely have. Like, let's say if you're designing a social app, you need to have friends, you need to have people who can connect to each other, you need to have some way of, posting to each other, whatever. Like, these are all baseline expectations. There are some features which are linear satisfiers, where what happens is the level of satisfaction increases with the level of, the degree of implementation that you're giving. The more of these features you provide, the better the user satisfaction comes up, and it increases linearly. Like, these are typically, like for example, if you're building Uber, you provide a third option for students to travel. Like, these are all linear satisfiers. They will give you linear satisfaction for that community. There are some features which are delighters. Like, for example, Brian Chesky talked about a lot of delighters, which is Elon Musk coming to pick you up at the airport. Or for example, Camila Cabello or Beyonce or someone like a Shakira, trying to come and invite you to their own home, to stay at their own home in Airbnbs. So these are delighters, where what happens is the satisfaction level disproportionately increases when you actually start fulfilling them. So this is one of the, the other ways in which you can think about prioritization as well. In terms of metrics, again, a lot of this I would probably not get deeper into. I'll just give you a quick overview on what metrics you actually measure. So if you think about it, what we have done till now is, what we have said is that we decide the personas, we decide which folks are we trying to solve the problem for. We decide what is the product that we are building, what is the solution that is we are using to solve that problem, and what is the proposition, how are we positioning that product. In order to measure the success of your product, there needs to be some kind of metrics which will help you decide that, is your product doing well in the market, is your experimentation working, not working, etc. So in order to do that, metrics is again something that is very, very important for a product manager. In this, there is something called as a North Star metric. North Star metric is essentially a metric, a singular metric which tells you how your product is doing. So for example, for a company like a Facebook, this North Star metric is daily active users. Like, how many daily active users, are kind of active on Facebook on every single day. If you look at like their quarterly results as well, I think their daily active users had decreased from 1.96 billion to about 1.95 billion in the last quarter. And their stock price immediately took a hit. Like, their stock price went down by 10% or something the next day after it got announced. So again, different types of products will have different types of North Star metrics. You can actually, ping me offline and, we can talk about it sometime later. Then the other set of metrics that you also measure is funnel metrics. Like, when I was in Microsoft at Bing Ads, we used to kind of, see the effectiveness of how an ad copy is doing. Like, how many people after clicking on an ad are going to the page, spending some time on that page, engaging in some activities, and then Then continuing with those activities, vis-a-vis, let's say how many people are dropping off at each stage. So funnel metrics are also something which are very important. I mean, you typically see them in a lot of B2C and B2B products as well. There are counter metrics. Counter metrics are something, if let's say your base metrics, North Star metric is increasing, but your counter metric is decreasing, then obviously there is something wrong. Like, I can talk about the example of it in the Q&A session, like if you are curious about this. And there are a bunch of other metrics, health metrics, like for example, how's your dashboard or health of your product looking like? There'll be some ecosystem metrics, like how is your ecosystem evolving? Like, is the market going up, market going down? All of these things. And versus what are your outcome metrics as well? Again, in the interest of time, I won't talk about it right now. And this is where the life of the customer kind of comes up. Like, there is this, I was just looking at some meme, there is this kind of meme from, Chak De India, I think, yeah, Chak De India, where Shah Rukh Khan says, कि इसके पांव तो राइट की तरफ लग रहे हैं, ये राइट में मारेगी, बट ये तो इसका, I don't know how many of you will understand Hindi, but इसका कुछ आंखें इस तरफ लग रही है तो ये लेफ्ट में मारेगी, फिर in the end he says, या अल्लाह, ये तो बीच में मारेगी. So that is what a life for a product manager is actually. We have to think of trade-offs, like trade-offs at every single day. We have to think of, if our funnel is going down, where is it that we try to optimize this funnel for? Like, do we try to optimize this funnel for between the visit and sign up, or between the sign up and onboarding? Like, do we add additional features over here? Do we remove features from here? How do we think about this product? So life as a product manager is all about trade-offs. Sounds too easy. I don't know, this is how a product manager looks like. Like on the surface, most of you would probably feel that a product manager is someone who's a happy-go-lucky guy, is laughing on the face of it, is enjoying his work. On the backside of it is where all the chaos starts, like, because you have to decide, which features do actually, you actually ship in the market, which features do you retire, how do you make sure that your engineering is doing whatever is desired by you, how do you communicate your vision in the right manner? So yes, it does sound easy, but it is not that easy, trust me. And yeah, with that said, I'll probably kind of end the presentation as well. You can actually feel free to contact me. These are my personal coordinates. Like, this is my email ID and this is my Twitter. I've stopped posting on Twitter very recently, but I do post, like, whatever insights I kind of get on product. Like, that is not something. These are like what I kind of use it as my learnings, or kind of my scratch pad, like where I kind of post whatever is kind of something that I picked up from my day-to-day work. And yeah, with another couple of things before I kind of end up, there is this very nice video, where again, I won't give you too much details about it, where this guy talks about what he's learned about product management over his 25 years of experience in the industry. Please do go through it if this is something that kind of excites you and this is something that kind of motivates you. And yeah, towards the end, like, these are some of the books I recommend for every aspiring product manager. There is a book called Inspired by Marty Kagan. I've read all 6 of them, by the way. There are more which are there. I kind of read books also very aggressively. There is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the guy who invested in Facebook. He was the guy who put in the angel money, and he's also the co-founder of PayPal as well. I talked about PayPal Mafia. So Reid Hoffman was part of PayPal when before he launched LinkedIn. Then Crossing the Chasm, this is also another nice book. Like, I think Bhavin recommends this very highly. This is also something that you can pick up. Then Clayton Christensen, there is a book called Innovator's Dilemma. There is a concept of jobs to be done, like, which Clayton talks about. That's also another interesting thing that is kind of evolving in the product world. Then Hooked is another nice book, like, from Nir Eyal. And then Hard Things About Hard Things. This is written by a guy called Ben Horowitz, who is the founder of A16Z, the VC firm Anderson Horowitz. So yeah, with that said, I'll take a pause here. I'll stop sharing. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have put up some time for Q&A, but happy to take questions if you guys have any questions for me.